Smash 64's low tiers are an interesting group of characters. In games like Melee and Brawl, low tiers can actually be quite bad. Look no further than games like Melee Bowser or Brawl Ganondorf. 64's low tiers gotta be just as bad, right? Well, actually there's a little bit more nuance here. They still have a niche in competitive play and actually have usage in the meta. Some of them have actually a lot of promise. Some people feel that the low tiers in 64 are underrated, despite some of them looking like they're pretty bad. And because Smash 64's cast is a lot smaller and tighter knit, it means that the low tier characters are not that bad. The characters we're going to be going over in this video is Samus, Donkey Kong, Ness, Link, Luigi. For some of these low tiers, it's not going to be their last time being a low tier character. Samus is actually really close from not being a low tier. She has some of the highest raw damage output in the whole game, while having a solid amount of range. She definitely checks a lot of boxes for things that characters who are low tiers in 64 don't have. She's really heavy while being a floaty character. Like future versions of Samus, these come with their own positives and negatives, like being able to easily escape out of combos because of her floatiness. Samus's major flaw is her speed. She's rather slow, and her mobility, especially off stage, is pretty terrible. Her neutral is sort of lacking, especially in this game, because she doesn't have as many approaching options like her missiles, as side B is absent in Smash 64. This isn't the Samus of future Smash games where she's a lot faster. Another weakness is she has a large amount of end lag on most of her attacks. While she definitely has plenty of KO power, it comes at a cost. Because her approach options are mediocre, this means she can struggle to clutch out a lot of situations because of her slow speed and relying on predictions. Despite these flaws, she's actually not a bad character. Especially in the Japanese version, she's slightly better, being ranked at 7th due to people having a bit more higher results with her in Japan. She does have a lot of things going for her for being a low tier. She's hard to combo, while her airspeed is definitely pretty bad. At times she might have difficulties finding openings, but she still has plenty of strong attacks, which you can't really say that for every character here. She has plenty of attacks that are actually kind of strong, and that does give her some niche in the meta. She's not that bad. Donkey Kong in 64, the only big boy character. No Bowser, no DDD, it's just him. Donkey Kong's placement is actually slightly different from the Japanese and American versions of Smash 64, being at 9th in the NTSC version, while being the worst character in the Japanese version of the game. DK in the NTSC version was buffed compared to the Japanese version, having a safer recovery, stronger down air and back air, and you can also chalk it up to him being more commonly used in the West. I thought it should be noted as a 3-place difference is actually a big difference in a tight-knit, smaller roster. It's actually a very large difference competitively. His giant punch, funnily enough, does 36% fully charged, like cheese. And because he's so heavy, he's actually not easy to KO, but that obviously comes at a cost. That obviously has its own issue, as he's the largest character in the game, and combine that with his heavy weight, it makes him super easy to combo. Especially with Smash 64's well-known higher amounts of hit stun, means, yeah, it's not good to be this type of character. DK also has the iconic limited up special, and you can argue even more limited in this game. Spinning Kong actually is not a bad tool for finishing off opponents off stage, along with moves like his back air. You can't bring up Donkey Kong without also bringing up his iconic cargo. In Smash 64, DK's grab game has a bit more utility, as he has an infinite in this game. Yes, you heard me right, Donkey Kong has an infinite throw trap. You guys like grab release jank? Well, buckle in. For those wondering about the infinite throw trap, it essentially was a proto version of what techniques like grab release jank would be in Brawl. 64's grab release is pretty long, as characters can take advantage of this like Donkey Kong and simply grab them without throwing them, and then keep doing this over and over. Voila, there's your infinite. You will slowly build percent for each throw inputted, and fun fact, in future Smash games you can't do this at all, as they clearly patched it out, as you can't re-grab them out of a missed cargo anymore. Tangent over, but I wanted to nerd over some really cool DK tech. All in all, Donkey Kong is actually not that bad. He actually has some matchups where he beats certain characters really hard, so despite being a low tier, I wouldn't sleep on him. Ness's evolution in Smash 64 has to be easily one of the most dense and crazy evolutions. That's because Ness was actually perceived to be a top tier character, and some of you are probably thinking, wait, what, he's a top tier and now he's here? What? Yes, if you go to Smash 64's very first tier list, Ness was a top 3 character, which is kind of insane. Above all else, he was better than Fox, Captain Falcon, Puff, Yoshi, which is, yeah, what happened here? Obviously, the meta was really underdeveloped at the time and people didn't understand the counterplay against Ness. Ness in 64 is actually kind of good. His aerials are super fast-paced in this game. A lot of them wouldn't be this strong even in future Smash games, like his down air that meteors, he has quick up air strings. If you combine this with his powerful finishers like back air, forward smash, and PK Thunder 2, slew of advanced techniques like double jump cancel and double jump landing, so on and so forth. More specifically, he has an extremely strong toolset because his aerials are pretty beefy in this game. It's like peanut butter meeting chocolate. Double jump canceling and his really strong aerials, they worked well with each other. It is easily one of Ness's quickest ways of racking up damage is double jump cancel up air. All of these things combined helped him become such a dominant force out of the gate, being able to 0 to death opponents. As someone who actually plays a lot of Ness, this version of the character has some promise. Elements of 64 Ness have heavily inspired games like Project M Ness. Things would change rapidly for the character. In 2009, he would drop to being a mid-tier at 8th place, and then after every single tier list after that, Ness would slowly drop to being a low tier at 10th place, as right now, yeah, he dropped to this. People simply figured out Ness's flaws, and you see, you have a recovery like this, it's gonna be easy to gimp, as all you gotta do is just jump on Ness's PK Thunder, and yeah. If you link PK Thunder 2, you definitely have a strong move, but it's for sure flawed when Ness is trying to do the tool. And gee, I wonder if this is somehow gonna be one of the reasons why he becomes a low tier. Okay, we all know. Ness's range is also terrible. This is sort of a consistent curse of the character. Of course, he has projectiles like PK Fire, but they have significant amounts of lag. They can be easily punished. And outside of that, Ness's approach options are mainly his stubby limbs. His movement speed is mediocre. The top tiers are really going to take advantage of his flaws. It hurts a little bit how the character is not really used that much in the West. In the Japanese version, Ness is actually a much better version of the character. In the NTSC version, Ness was significantly nerfed, actually ranked at 5th place. And you could say this version of Ness is definitely not a low tier. His KO power is stronger, his moves deal more damage, and the Japanese version having a higher amount of SCI makes his combos even more deadly. If you want to add an extra layer of sadness, Ness would get even further nerfed in Melee, but I don't want to be reminded of that. The nerfs were definitely too much in future Smash games, as it took a while for Ness to truly become viable in the future. Well, this isn't the only time Link would be a low tier. Ironically, he shares a lot of the same flaws as the Brawl version of the character, which I've talked about in other videos. I will give him this, he's extremely technical. There is actually a true skill ceiling to the character. Top level 64 Link players can do a variety of tech. Extended boomerang, boomerang ledge boost, bomb gifting, invisible bomb, bomb recovery, a lot of bomb stuff I know, you can obviously tell. He has off-ledge spin attack, the black cat setup, and no, that's not a Spider-Man character, okay? Nice try though. The point is, Link is actually really technical in this game, but it doesn't help the disadvantaged state that he has. His recovery is very bad. When he simply has to rely on his recovery and he doesn't have a bomb to help him, it definitely is one of the worst recoveries in the whole series. A handful of Link's moves and combo game are actually a lot weaker, especially compared to the Japanese version of the character where, similar to Ness, he was actually better in that game. In fact, this version of the character has a much stronger combo game, his recovery was better, but then Link would be severely nerfed in the NTSC version as spin attack gains much less height in the air, because Link's gravity was slightly higher in the NTSC version. And in the Japanese version, his moves dealt more damage and knockback, like down air for example, which has a much larger hitbox. You could honestly make a whole video of all the different versions of Link, because there were so many of them. he changed so often. Even the Australian version of the character, where he was being ping-pong buffs and nerfs each version of Smash 64. Even in the PAL version and Australian version, he's just getting buffed, nerfed, buff, nerfed, buff, nerfed, buff, nerfed. Sometimes retracting some changes and then bringing them back. They'd even give him more nerfs as they would make his airspeed significantly worse, which is just, yeah, wow. Link in general has a risky recovery. He's easy to combo because he's a heavy fast faller, although he isn't that bad as he does have consistent combo tools like his up tilt, and he's great at playing defensively with his boomerang and bombs. It's just his disadvantaged state is clearly holding him back. Up special is really not helping him that much, as I feel they could have made Link a lot better of a character if he had a stronger recovery tool. The lowest character on the tier list is Luigi. While Luigi is a mixed bag, he does have some things working for him. His up special more specifically is a strong recovery tool with the ability to KO. Even a mash down special can help benefit his recovery, so on paper doesn't look that bad. Up special is probably his beefiest attack in his whole kit. His fireball is a tool that can stuff approaches and allow him to zone, and his smash attacks are not bad KO tools. Down air is similar to Mario's down air, as it does an absurd amount of damage, being 24%, which easily can lead into Luigi's aerials. Luigi can sometimes string more aerial combos easier than Mario because he has the higher jump, but this isn't always the case. The higher jump is a blessing and a curse, as it makes it possible for him to do combos that on paper Mario can't do. His ability to short hop is harder, as it affects his ability to do certain combos that in turn are going to be easier for Mario. In a lot of people's opinion, Luigi is outclassed by Mario, who is the higher ranked character on the tier list. Mario has more attacks that do more damage, and most of his moves are faster than Luigi, although Luigi does have the faster forward smash. The differences are pretty small to the untrained eye, but they are distinct enough to make Luigi where he is on the tier list. Luigi's ability to punish is actually quite decent. However, despite this, we're talking about a Smash game where most characters have amazing punish games. His mobility and traction is extremely slow with terrible airspeed. In combination with that, Luigi, when he's off stage, is known for having a very punishable and risky recovery, and his airspeed is definitely not helping with this. His range in general is definitely mediocre. Plenty of his strongest moves are extremely difficult to land. Sorry, up special. Many people do think that Luigi is actually underrated. Part of one of the reasons why he's the worst character as of right now is he's actually rarely played, and plenty of people think he could be developed further if more people just gave the character a chance. But one of the main reasons he's the lowest tiered character is how uncommon he truly is in competitive play. Some people don't think any of the low tiers are actually that bad. They definitely aren't as terrible as other Smash characters have been in the series. So despite me, maybe dunking on them here and there, they actually can compete in tournament. It's just more difficult to do so. Anything is possible in Smash 64's meta. Some consider this to be one of the most tight-knit Smash games, probably up there with Smash Ultimate. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys want early videos, there's a Patreon down below. Stream my newest album, Sapphire by Zach Honest. Check out this video on Brawl's low tiers. Thank you, have a good one. Seriously, thank you so much. Take care.